Russell Henry.
Steve Penn. Danielle Drury.
Stephen Jervis.
Gary Lynn.
I'd like to open the public hearing, or the eminent domain public hearing, and I'd ask our Attorney Mark Gebo to moderate.
First of all, we want to thank you for coming out this evening. We're formally opening the public hearing for project identification number PIN 7805.26, Alexandria Bay Riverwalk, located in the village of Alexandria Bay, Jefferson County, New York. The purpose of the public hearing is to meet the legal requirements of Article 2 of the Eminent Domain Procedure Law. A notice of public hearing was published in the Watertown Daily Times for 5 consecutive days beginning May 14, 2012. The notice of public hearing was also published in the Thousand Island Sun on May 16, 2012 for 2 consecutive weeks. A copy of the notice of public hearing was sent to the assessment record billing owners potentially impacted by the proposed public project. Now, as you know, for those of you who were here earlier, we did have an informational meeting. There was a public notice of that read as follows. The Village of Alexandria Bay will hold a public informational meeting on the eminent domain procedure for the Riverwalk project on June 1, 2012 at 5:30 p.m. in the community room, 110 Walton Street, Alexandria Bay, New York, 13607. In retrospect to the project, anyone wishing to be heard may attend this meeting. The eminent domain public hearing will follow immediately following the informational hearing. And anyone requesting special accommodations for a disability to call the village office 3 days in advance. The notice of public hearing that we're on now says notice of public hearing pursuant to the eminent domain procedure law. Please take notice that in accordance with Article 2, Section 202 of the New York State Eminent Domain Procedure Law, notice is hereby given of a public hearing for the project identification number PIN 7805.26, Alexandria Bay Riverwalk Project, Village of Alexandria Bay, New York, on June 1st, 2012 at 6:30 at the Alexandria Bay Village offices, 110 Walton Street, Alexandria Bay, New York. The purpose of this hearing is to outline the project purpose, its proposed location, and to provide other pertinent information, including maps and property descriptions of properties to be acquired in adjacent parcels. The project is located in the village of Alexandria Bay and begins at the intersection of James and Howell Ave in the middle of the business center. The proposed alignment continues northwest to Scuba Park, follows the shoreline in front of River Hospital to Scenic View Park, and crosses through the park to Fuller Street. The Riverwalk then follows Fuller Street to Church Street and continues back to James Street. Persons may appear in person or by agent and will be given the opportunity to present oral or written statements and to submit other documents concerning PIN 7805.26 Alexandria Bay Riverwalk Project, Village of Alexandria Bay, Jefferson County. Any property owners who may subsequently wish to challenge the condemnation of their property by judicial review may do so only on the basis of issues, facts, and objections raised at the hearings. Americans with Disability Act notice to request accommodations for disability, please call Molly Freer. Please request these accommodations 3 days in advance of the meeting so we may seek to meet your needs. Questions regarding the hearing may be addressed to Molly Freer, 110 Walton Street, Alexandria Bay, New York, 13607, phone number 315-482-9902. As stated in the notice, there are several purposes for tonight's hearing. To provide information on the project, its background and evolution, to explain and describe the public use benefits and purposes to be served by this project, to describe the location or geographic parameters of the proposed project, and explain the reasons for the selection of the location, to discuss the general effect of the proposed project on the environment and the residents of the village, to identify the property interests the village will need to acquire in order to accomplish the project, and to accept and consider public comments. Now, the hearing procedure. Oral statements made during tonight's session will be stenographically recorded, as you can see. Additionally, various documents have been made available for public inspection. These documents have been pre-marked as exhibits and will be incorporated into the record of the hearing. Following tonight's session, members of the public are invited to submit written comments or other documents related to the proposed project. These written comments should be addressed to Molly Briere, 110 Walton Street, Alexandria Bay, New York, 13607. These written comments and documents will be included as part of the record of this hearing. As soon as possible, after tonight's session, copies of the transcript of this hearing and the hearing exhibits will be made available to the public for examination without cost during normal business hours at the Alexandria Bay Village offices here at 110 Walton Street and at the McSherry Public Library, 108 Walton Street, Alexandria Bay, New York. Any person who would like to examine the record should contact the village clerk, Molly Briere, here at the village office. At some point, within 90 days after the record of this hearing is complete, the entire record will be delivered to the village board for consideration and further action. The further action will occur in the form of the village rendering its determinations and findings concerning the project. A brief synopsis of those determinations and findings will be published in appropriate newspapers and mailed to the assessment record billing owners. Now, there are several exhibits that I mentioned are going to be incorporated into the record of the proceeding. The exhibits that are made a part of the record in the transcript will be made available for public review. In addition to the exhibits that have been pre-marked and entered into the hearing record, all written comment submissions will be entered into the hearing record as an exhibit number 12. And we'll do that collectively. We'll put all of those as one exhibit 12. The notice of tonight's public hearing was published in the Watertown Daily Times and the Thousand Island Sun, and those notices, along with the affidavits of publication, have been pre-marked as exhibits 1 and 2. In addition to publishing the notice of this hearing in the newspapers, the village mailed notices to each of the assessment record billing owners. The letter notices, along with copies of the certified mailing and return receipt documents, have been pre-marked collectively as Exhibit 3. The affidavit of mailing the letters has been pre-marked as Exhibit 4. Also available tonight for public inspection is a copy of the design report prepared by the engineering firm retained by the village to design and oversee the project. It includes many of the technical details relating to the project, including the scope and evolution, alternatives, environmental, historical, and social matters that were considered. The design report has been pre-marked as Exhibit 5. A number of board displays have been prepared for tonight's public hearing. Those boards contain technical information on the project corridor. Copies of the board from the presentation have been collectively pre-marked as Exhibits 6 through 11, and those are the boards that you were looking at previously. And all of the pre-marked exhibits are now being admitted into the record of these proceedings.